Hello, my lovely. You didn't get to where you are in your business by doing shit the way that everybody else does. And you know that what got you to where you are now is not going to get you to where you want to be. And if you are listening to this podcast, it's because you want to be the go to for what you do better than anywhere else. Your unrepeatable stack of genius is the niche, being you, that bold, unfuckwithable presence that you've been secretly craving to set free. She's in there and she's ready to come home. But that means you will have to burn some bridges down. And attracting your fuck yes dreamy clients will also repel those who are not for you. Fucking hooray. Because becoming a force of nature business and brand means no more Miss People Pleaser, no more hiding your turbo brain, no more dimming down jack shit. And if you have ever been told to turn it down as a woman with later life diagnosed ADHD, it is time to tone your shit all the way back up. That is how you create unstoppable momentum in your business and visibility, even though it's something you may have been avoiding. It's what you truly want, and this is how you get it. This podcast is about stepping up into your upgrade because watering down anything never changed the fucking world. You were not born to be forgettable. And as one of my all-time favorite quotes says, well-behaved women rarely make history, and nothing about you or me is well-behaved, at least not anymore. Today, I want to tell you a story that starts in October 2024. My business felt chaotic. My brain was loud, like a fire alarm going off all the time, an 18-ring circus, and 4 of my favorite hyper-focus songs all being loud in my brain at one time. But that's just a normal day. What I couldn't hear was my own voice. I remember distinctly, and there's a piece of content out there about this, I felt like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. You know how she had all those parts and pieces of others sewn on her? I felt like that. And I had no clue what I even wanted my business to look or feel like anymore. I was so lost. I was looking around me at everybody else's businesses, other coaches and mentors in my feed, my friends who I really adore because I've been around these digital streets for a while. And so I'm seeing every person I respect, all of that. And what is happening is I was stuck in a decision fatigue loop where I didn't know what was mine and what I picked up from other people. And one day I realized I could not hear my own voice in this business anymore. So I did something I have never done before. And we are going to talk about it today. What I did was I put my blinders on for 6 months on social media. But before we get into it, if you are done working with business coaches in the normie business coaching industry and you want to talk to somebody who gets you like talking with any fellow neurodivergent person, how we speak our own fucking language, book your free clarity call. It's 30 minutes. It's not a coaching call. We're going to do some fact finding and see where you are, what's not working for your brain, and what business growth looks like to you when you stop trying to follow what's going on outside of you and actually tap into the way your brain works and work with it instead of against it. And I am a specialist. Coaches with late diagnosed ADHD are my specialty. You are all that I work with day in and day out. So who better to help you than somebody like me with 27 years of experience, some majority prior to my ADHD diagnosis, and this business after. So DM me on Instagram at Karrie Out Loud, or apply to work with me directly. If you shoot me a DM, just say podcast chat, something like that, and I will do the rest. Any links for all of my goodness in my universe are in the show notes. Okay, that's it. So let's get into it. So when I say every decision I was making was being filtered through what somebody else around me was doing or what somebody else had said when they saw it, or what another coach was launching, what friend was posting, what someone's funnel looks like, how my program name was the exact same as so and so, even though I maybe don't even follow them, what other people's pricing is. I was in decision fatigue so deep that I couldn't make simple calls about my own business without looking around me to see what others are doing first. That is not a thought leader. That's a thought follower. Right? And we're rule wreckers. We don't like to follow the rules. And yet somehow we find ourselves doing that anyway, following the rules. I thought the rules were look around and see what everybody else is doing. Success leaves clues. And although that's true, when you have access to social media, you're seeing millions of people's success. Who do you tap into? Right? I was in decision fatigue that was so bad. And I want you to understand who I was looking at. I was not looking at competitors. I was not looking at people I didn't respect. I was looking at people I love, coaches I love, friends I love, service providers I love, people who I work with. I love them. They're incredible. I love networking with them. And I was drowning in it. I was in an information super intake mode, like a fucking sponge, including podcasts, books, so much data. Our brains can hold so much data. And there was too much. And I just was continuing to put more in. And that was not it. Because one day the thought occurred to me after I had more self-confidence and more self-trust that you're staring at the front end of somebody else's business and making decisions based on literally nothing. You know nothing about their back end, nothing about their actual numbers, nothing about what they're struggling with behind the scenes, and nothing about what they rebuilt 3 times this year. You're making decisions in your business based on your own perception, and perception can take very little data, especially since we have nuance, right? We can like read into things pretty well. But we give this data way more inflated, more wings than other things. And your brain, which is brilliant and fast and a pattern recognizer, will pull in thousands of data points at one time, right? From your own brain. And it's trying to synthesize it like a strategy from someone else's marketing. And I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? And I hit a breaking point. I couldn't hear what I wanted. I couldn't hear my own voice. I couldn't hear my gut instinct, which has always been loud and never steered me wrong. It was quiet. And I realized I had to quiet everything around me so that I can tap in and listen in to my gut, to how my brain wants to grow my business, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Not how somebody else's brain grew theirs or neurotypical coach helped them create mine. I have some friends who have very large businesses that are like friends of mine, real friends. Like I'd speak to them on the regular. That shouldn't mean shit to me because what works for someone else is none of my fucking business at all. So when I put my blinders on, I decided to do that for 6 months. I filtered those opinions from the outside of me way down, way down. I have 2 business sisters with brains like mine, completely different businesses. One owns a salon, another one is like a behind the scene fucking Harry Potter guru, right? I love her. She's going to kill me for calling her a guru. Badass with a lot of authority. We'll call her that. So I'm going to go talk to them first. And not to go, is this a good idea? Da-da-da. But it's called masterminding. It actually comes from a business book from 100 years ago. The masterminding is more than one mind coming together to make things greater and better for ourselves and others, right? So those 2 because they also have ADHD brains. So one is inattentive, the other one is probably combined like me. And what I want you to know is these are people that is like $0 for us to exchange ideas because we need to have support from people that we're not paying and really give a shit and cut shit straight. Like give us our own frying pan of love back, right? And I also hired 2 coaches this year very intentionally, and they both have a full understanding of neurodivergence and ADHD and how me and my brain and my business work. And they know the marketplace too. And they're who I go to for the shit that I know I do not know yet. Because there's information we don't know yet. We have to get deeper into our business to get more of the facts, right? So when you don't know what you don't know, that's why you hire a mentor, somebody who's like 500 steps ahead of you. Like I want to see way down the road so I can get my brain acclimated and adjust and start navigating in that direction. Duh. Right? Now, I want to be specific about what I did because you're probably going, yeah, what'd you actually do? Okay, here's what I did. I went in and I cleared out my people I'm following and followers who are clearly bots, followers who are clearly no longer, their account hadn't been used in a while. I went to my account, and this was in 2024, and I just cleaned it up. That was it. I just cleaned it up. And then I muted my people. I did not unfollow them. I love them. These are women, female founders of all kinds that I adore, that I've been in industry with for years. And these are women who are truly fucking changing shit out in the universe. And I muted their asses with so much love. And the rule I gave myself was I'm going to mute anyone who makes me feel envy, jealousy, shame, or shitty about myself. Not because of anything anyone else had done, but because I needed to stop all the input from the outside of myself, except for a trusted few. And the other thing is not to avoid, I wasn't doing it to avoid triggers. That's different. When you have a nervous system, you have a better relationship with regulating. That's different than this. What I'm talking about is coming from a place of being regulated so that you can avoid these triggers for now so that you can tap into your own self. That's the deep, deep why, right? I do not think envy or jealousy are bad per se. They are information about what you want. I'm not above either one. And I muted them because I wanted to figure out why I felt envy in the first place, because that was a me thing. That was not a them thing. That's what I knew as well, because I knew this envy was information. It told me something that I wanted that I wasn't giving myself permission to have. It was telling me about my own gap between where I am and where I know I want to go. And I didn't want to keep scrolling past the people that I envy and call it inspo. I wanted to sit with my own feelings and figure out what my shit was telling me. And I couldn't do that while I was looking at the source of that envy every day. So I muted, not forever, for 6 months. And sometimes I would intentionally go to a friend's page, watch their stories, look at their stuff. But those were like when I knew I was in a moment where I wasn't going to just go into a doom scroll, or else I just wouldn't, right? But what I did was take them out of my feed and my stories, right? Going and actively looking was different because maybe they were doing something. But what was coming at me in my feed was fucking ADHD shit, dog videos, concert and music shit. And I just played with that algorithm. And now you can actually edit your algorithm. If you ever want to know how to do that, ask me, because it's really fucking easy. And so what I did was I put like ADHD coaches, entrepreneur, like I put certain things where I wouldn't always, you can kind of edit what you see. And I was able to just take out all of that shit and follow my own algorithm, right? So that really helped. And what happened when the noise got quiet? That's probably what you really want to know. So this part is going to hurt a little. I realized how much of my life, not just my business, but my life was built on getting external hits of dopamine. Ooh, I hate saying that. It's just gross. It makes me feel gross recognizing this in myself. Every time I did something, I was running it past someone. And for a while, certain people were that someone. So they'd be getting it all the time. I look back now and I just want to hug the women who did that for me and thank them because those days are over, right? But I wanted approval or kudos or a high five or, yes, Karrie, that's so smart, or haha, that's so funny. It's that addiction of the external validation on every little decision. And I was like, fuck my life. If you can't see me, I'm actually like hitting my head on the microphone here. Fuck my life. So this is me being straight up. My brand is out loud for a reason. So if I'm not able to say what's real, ADHD woman to ADHD woman, then I don't even know what I'm doing here. So I'm always going to keep it real. It was intense. It was an intense need for validation that was built over years and decades of feeling unheard, unseen, misunderstood, constantly trying to be understood and have somebody feel me, right? When I stopped outsourcing my own yes, I started hearing my own voice. And what I heard was fucking awesome and of me. And if I created something and somebody else had the same name, I didn't care because I didn't know. Right. And so these things were coming out of me naturally. And then I started seeing how clearly the way to run my business, how it would work to support the way I work best. Now, not how I think I should work, not how a course told me to work, not how a random coach out there who I do not know whatsoever and happen to randomly come upon something in a hashtag, what they say about how I work or should work. It's how I work, how my brain functions, my energy, how it ebbs and flows, to have a business that runs without needing me every second of the day. We don't want that. The magic is it turned out to be a business that supports how I work best, and my clients love it. They fucking love it. Why? Because I'm bringing my full ass self. I am not masked or watered down or trying to be approved by everybody. That version of me is gone. I used to think that was the key to my success. It was the opposite. It was why I was staying beige, right? But what I want you to understand is when the noise is quiet, your own voice shows up and it becomes louder and louder and more clear to you. And I don't mean the ahole brain gremlin voice who lives in your self-trust gap. I don't mean the one that's whispering negative bullshit at you 24/7, 365, that low little hum of a voice. We'll get to that. I mean how your brain actually works, your instinct, your knowing, the thing under the noise, those natural instincts. Lean in to really hear what I am about to say from my lips to your ear holes. When you are looking around, it is the thief of your joy. That is living a life and building a business by default, defaulting to everything around you instead of by design, your design. I want you to think about that because I'm going to pause the story and finish it next week. I am getting more vigilant about keeping these 20 minutes because ADHD, and an average drive is 15 to 20 minutes, folding some laundry, 15 to 20 minutes. I like to keep these bite size, especially if you have them at 1.5 or higher. So be sure to come back next week for part 2. Also, I am going to double dog dare you to do one thing after this episode. DM me at Karrie Out Loud on Instagram. Tell me the number one thing in your business that feels like it's keeping you stuck. Tell me you listened to this episode. You saw yourself in this story. Do you feel lack of self-trust? Are you overcomplicating your business? Do you think more is better? Send it. I read everything personally and I respond personally. Until next time, I see you. I love you. Put your fucking blinders on. And I'm rooting for you. Always stay feral, you bad motherfucker. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.